Claire Bennett leaned against the kitchen counter in her Austin, Texas home, the hum of the coffee maker filling the quiet morning. At 32, she had crafted a life most envied, a loving marriage to Ethan, a cozy suburban house, and a rhythm of days that felt both comforting and, lately, stifling. She glanced at the clock. 7:15 a.m. Ethan would be down soon, ready for his commute to the tech park where he worked as a software engineer. She stirred his coffee, black with a pinch of sugar, just the way he liked it, and set out a plate of toast. These small acts of care defined her role as his wife, a role she'd chosen when she left her marketing job 3 years ago to focus on their life together. Ethan, 35, bounded downstairs, his laptop bag slung over his shoulder. "Morning, babe," he said, kissing her forehead. "You're up early again." His voice carried the easy warmth that had drawn Claire to him a decade ago. She smiled, handing him the coffee. "Couldn't sleep. Figured I'd get a head start on the day." Ethan paused, studying her. "Everything okay? You seem quiet lately." Claire waved it off. "Just restless, I guess. I'll figure it out." He nodded, trusting her words, and headed out with a promise to be home for dinner. As the door clicked shut, Claire's smile faded. The silence of the house pressed in, heavy and familiar. She loved Ethan, his steady support, his belief in her, but the days had started to blur. Mornings of chores, afternoons of errands, evenings of Netflix and takeout. She missed the spark of purpose she'd felt in her old job, the thrill of closing a deal or nailing a campaign. Being a wife was enough, wasn't it? Yet, a nagging voice whispered that something was missing. By noon, Claire was at Brew and Bean, a local coffee shop, waiting for her friend Sophie Carter. Sophie, 30, swept in with her usual energy, her phone buzzing with notifications. Single and unapologetically bold, Sophie lived a life of late nights and spontaneous plans, a stark contrast to Claire's routine. "You look like you need a double shot," Sophie teased, sliding into the booth. Claire laughed. "That obvious, huh?" Sophie leaned forward, her eyes glinting. "Speed, what's got you moping?" Claire hesitated, then admitted, "I don't know, sophomore. I love my life with Ethan, but it's like I'm stuck in a loop. Same tasks, same schedule. I need something." Sophie's face lit up. "That's it. You need a project. Something just for you." She tapped her phone, brainstorming. "What about a business? You're organized, creative. You could run something from home." Claire raised an eyebrow. "A business? Like what?" Sophie grinned. "An online store. Men's clothing. Guys are lazy shoppers. Pick some trendy stuff, market it right, and they'll buy." The idea hit Claire like a jolt. An online store? She could curate designs, build a brand, work on her own terms. It wouldn't disrupt her life with Ethan, but would give her a purpose beyond laundry and meal prep. "You think I could pull that off?" she asked, her voice tinged with excitement. Sophie nodded. "With your skills?" "Totally. And I'll help. Social media, photos, the works." "Let's do this, Claire." For the first time in months, Claire felt a surge of possibility. That evening, over grilled chicken and salad, Claire pitched the idea to Ethan. He listened, paused mid-bite, as she outlined her vision for Dapper Threads, a men's clothing store focused on sharp, affordable styles. "It'd be online, so I can manage it from home," she said, her words tumbling out. "I'd handle inventory, marketing, everything. What do you think?" Ethan set down his fork, a slow smile spreading. "I think it's awesome. You're glowing just talking about it." He reached for her hand. "If you need startup cash, for inventory, ads, whatever, I got you covered." Claire's chest warmed. Ethan's support was unwavering, as always. He'd never pushed her to work, happy to see her relaxed and free of financial stress. But now he saw the fire in her eyes and wanted to fan it. "You sure?" she asked. He nodded. "I want you to be happy, Claire. This sounds like your thing. Go for it." They clinked glasses, sealing the moment with a shared excitement. The next few weeks were a whirlwind. Claire and Sophie dove into planning. They scouted suppliers, picked a sleek website template, and set up Instagram and TikTok accounts for Dapper Threads. Claire's marketing instincts kicked in. She crafted catchy posts and targeted ads to Austin's young professionals. Sophie handled visuals, snapping photos of models in crisp button-downs and tailor joggers. The work consumed Claire's days, but it felt good. She was building something, not just maintaining a routine. Ethan watched her transformation with pride. One night, as they lay in bed, he said, "You're killing it. You know that? I haven't seen you this driven in years." Claire nestled closer, grateful. Thanks for believing in me. But as she drifted to sleep, a small worry flickered. Sophie's influence was undeniable. She pushed Claire to take risks, to think bigger. Yet, Sophie's carefree attitude sometimes felt reckless. Claire brushed it off. She could handle Sophie. She was in control. Dapper Threads launched with a bang. Orders trickled in, then surged. Customers raved about the quality and fit. One buyer, Ryan Holt, stood out. A 30-year-old gym owner. He ordered weekly shirts, chinos, even a leather jacket. His reviews were glowing, and his messages polite but frequent. "Great stuff. You guys nailed the sizing," he wrote. Claire responded professionally, thanking him for the support. Sophie, however, was quick to comment. "This Ryan guy's a fanboy," she teased. "Bet he's cute." Claire rolled her eyes. "He's just a customer, sophomore." But Sophie's words lingered. Ryan's messages, though businesslike, had a charm that was hard to ignore. Claire caught herself smiling at one of his replies, then shook it off. She was married, happy. This was just a business high. Still, as she closed her laptop that night, a tiny thrill lingered, a feeling she hadn't acknowledged in years. Claire's phone buzzed on the kitchen counter, pulling her from a spreadsheet of Dapper Threads' latest orders. It was another message from Ryan Holt, the gym owner who'd become their most loyal customer. "Just got the new jacket. Fits like a glove. You guys are killing it." Claire smiled, typing a quick, "Thanks for the support, Ryan." She hit send, ignoring the faint flutter in her chest. It was just business, she told herself, but Ryan's messages were becoming a highlight of her day. 2 months into the launch, Dapper Threads was thriving. Claire and Sophie had hit their stride, managing a steady stream of orders from their Austin-based online store. Claire handled logistics, tracking shipments, updating inventory, while Sophie churned out Instagram reels showcasing their latest men's styles. Their follower count climbed, and so did sales. Claire felt alive, her days filled with purpose. But Sophie's influence was growing too. Her bold ideas, like targeting influencers or hosting giveaways, pushed Dapper Threads forward, but her casual attitude toward boundaries made Claire uneasy. At Brew and Bean one humid afternoon, Sophie scrolled through their business email, her eyes gleaming. "Ryan's back at it," she said, nudging Claire. "Ordered another shirt. This guy's practically funding us." Claire laughed, sipping her iced latte. "He's just a good customer." Sophie leaned in, smirking. "Come on, Claire. His messages? Always so attentive. But he's got a thing for you." Claire's cheeks warmed, but she shook her head. "He's polite, that's all. Don't make it weird." Sophie shrugged. "Just saying, a little charm never hurts sales." Ryan's messages did have a certain warmth. What started as order confirmations had evolved into casual exchanges. "Saw your new collection. Great pics," he'd write, or, "Any chance you'll add workout gear?" Claire kept her replies professional, but noticed how easily the conversations flowed. She told herself it was harmless, good customer service, nothing more. Yet, Sophie's teasing planted a seed. Claire caught herself wondering about Ryan, picturing him based on his confident tone. She pushed the thoughts away, focusing on the next order. Ethan, meanwhile, was Claire's rock. He'd come home from his tech job to find her hunched over her laptop, tweaking the website or answering customer queries. "You're a natural," he'd say, dropping a kiss on her head before grabbing a beer. He'd even chipped in $5,000 for a new ad campaign, thrilled to see Claire so driven. But he noticed subtle changes, her phone buzzing late at night, her quick smiles at notifications. "Business stuff?" he'd ask casually. "Yup, just orders," she'd reply, her tone a touch too breezy. Ethan didn't press, but a flicker of doubt settled in his gut. One evening, while Claire packed orders in the dining room, Ryan's name popped up again. "Hey, loving the new tees. Ever thought about in-person pickups? Could save on shipping." Claire paused, her fingers hovering over the keyboard. The idea made sense. Local customers could cut costs. But something about Ryan's suggestion felt personal, like an invitation. She typed a cautious reply. "Good idea. We'll consider it for local orders." Sophie, sprawled on the couch nearby, overheard. "Ryan again? Tell him to swing by. Builds trust with customers." Claire hesitated. "I don't know. Sophomore feels risky." Sophie rolled her eyes. "It's just business, Claire. Don't overthink it." Against her better judgment, Claire agreed. She sent Ryan her address for a pickup, framing it as a one-time favor. The next day, her stomach churned as she waited. When Ryan pulled up in a sleek black Jeep, Claire's nerves spiked. He stepped out, carrying himself with an easy confidence that matched his messages. "Hey, Claire," he said, his voice warm. "Nice to put a face to the name." She handed him the package, their fingers brushing briefly. "Thanks for supporting us," she managed, her pulse quickening. Ryan lingered, chatting about the store, his gym, Austin's vibe. The conversation was light but charged, his gaze steady. After 10 minutes, he left with a wave, but the encounter left Claire rattled. She felt a thrill she couldn't shake. That night, over dinner, Ethan asked about her day. Claire mentioned the pickup, keeping it vague. "Just a local customer grabbing an order," she said, avoiding Ryan's name. Ethan nodded, but his eyes lingered on her, searching. "Everything going okay with the store?" he asked. "Better than okay," she said brightly, changing the subject to a new supplier. Ethan let it slide, but the unease in his chest grew. Claire wasn't herself. Not distant, exactly, but distracted. The next week, Ryan's messages took a bolder turn. "Pickup was great. Nice meeting you. Maybe we grab coffee sometime? Talk shop." Claire stared at the screen, her thumb hovering. She should shut it down. But Sophie, peering over her shoulder, laughed. "He's into you. Flirt back a little. It's good for business." Claire frowned. "It's off. I'm married." Sophie waved it off. "It's just talk, Claire. Loosen up." Against her instincts, Claire replied, "Coffee sounds nice, but I'm swamped with the store." It was neutral enough, but the line had blurred. Sophie didn't let up. She grabbed her own phone and, without telling Claire, texted Ryan, "Claire thinks you're cool, but she's married, so we're keeping it chill. Want to chat more? I'm Sophie, her partner." Ryan responded instantly. "All good. I'm discreet. Happy to chat." When Sophie showed Claire the exchange, Claire's stomach dropped. "Why would you do that?" she snapped. Sophie shrugged. "Just having fun. He's harmless." But Claire wasn't so sure. The messages continued, now through Sophie's phone, pulling Claire into a web of playful banter. Ryan's charm was relentless, witty, attentive, disarming. Claire told herself it was just a game, a distraction from her routine. But each ping of her phone felt like a step onto thinner ice. Ethan, meanwhile, noticed a shift. Claire's late-night texting, her guarded smiles, the way she'd angle her phone away. He didn't want to doubt her. She was as Claire, loyal and principled. But the silence around this customer gnawed at him. One night, as they watched a movie, her phone lit up with Sophie's name. Claire glanced at it, then set it face down. Ethan's jaw tightened. "Sophie again?" he asked, his tone light but probing. "Yeah, just store stuff," Claire said, her eyes on the screen. Ethan didn't push, but his mind churned. Something wasn't right. Claire's fingers trembled as she typed a reply to Ryan's latest message, sent through Sophie's phone. "Love the vibe at the pickup. How about coffee this week? No pressure, just to talk business." Her thumb hovered over the send button. She knew she should delete it, shut this down. But the thrill of Ryan's attention, amplified by Sophie's relentless encouragement, clouded her judgment. She hit send, her heart racing with a mix of guilt and excitement. It was just coffee, she told herself. Nothing more. Dapper threads continued to soar, with orders pouring in and social media buzzing. Claire and Sophie were a powerhouse, but Sophie's influence was steering Claire into dangerous territory. Ryan's messages, once confined to orders, now carried a playful edge. Jokes about Austin's heat, subtle compliments about Claire's eye for style. Sophie egged her on, reading his texts aloud with a smirk. "He's totally into you," she'd say, tossing her phone to Claire. "Live a little." Claire laughed it off, but each exchange chipped away at her resolve. She was married, loyal to Ethan, yet the attention filled a void she hadn't realized was so deep. Ethan sensed the shift. Claire's late-night phone checks, her guarded smiles, the way she'd dodge questions about her day. It all added up. He'd always trusted her, but doubt crept in like a slow poison. One evening, as Claire typed furiously on her laptop, Ethan asked, "Who's blowing up your phone lately?" "Sophie." Claire's eyes flicked up, too quick. "Yeah, just store stuff. New orders." Her tone was casual, but Ethan caught the edge in it. He nodded, saying nothing, but his gut churned. The Claire he knew didn't hide things. Or did she? Sophie, oblivious to Claire's growing unease, pushed harder. One afternoon at Brew and Bean, she leaned across the table, her voice low. "Ryan wants to meet up. Coffee, maybe Thursday? It's just networking, Claire. Good for the store." Claire's stomach twisted. "Soft, I can't. I'm married. This is getting weird." Sophie rolled her eyes. It's coffee, not a scandal. He's a loyal customer. Keep him happy. Claire's instinct screamed no, but Sophie's logic, mixed with her own curiosity, won out. Fine, she said, voice tight. Just coffee. Sophie grinned, texting Ryan immediately. She's in. Thursday, 2 p.m., brew and bean. Thursday arrived, and Claire's nerves were electric as she walked into the coffee shop. Ryan was already there, leaning back in a chair, exuding that same easy confidence from their pickup meeting. Hey, good to see you, he said, standing to greet her. His handshake lingered a second too long, his smile too warm. Claire forced a smile, clutching her iced coffee like a lifeline. They talked shop, marketing ideas, new inventory, but Ryan steered the conversation to personal ground. You must be swamped, running this with just you and Sophie. Ever get a break? Claire shrugged, deflecting. It's busy, but I love it. His gaze held hers. You deserve a little fun too, you know. The meeting lasted 30 minutes, but it felt like seconds. Claire's heart pounded as Ryan leaned closer, his voice dropping. This place is great, but it's loud. Want to grab a quieter spot next time? Just to talk. Claire froze, her mind screaming to end this, but her words betrayed her. Maybe, she said, barely audible. Ryan's smile widened. Cool. I know a place. Private. No interruptions. She nodded, dazed, as they parted ways. Walking to her car, Claire felt like she was sinking, but the pull of the moment kept her from turning back. That night, Ethan noticed her distraction. She barely touched her dinner, her phone face down but buzzing with Sophie's texts. Really Ryan's, forwarded with Sophie's commentary. Everything okay? Ethan asked, his tone sharper than usual. Claire flinched. Just tired. Long day. He didn't buy it. The next morning, as Claire left for a supplier meeting, Ethan made a call. I need you to follow my wife, he told a private investigator, his voice low. Something's off. I want the truth. The investigator agreed, promising updates by end of day. Claire, meanwhile, was spiraling. Ryan's texts grew bolder, suggesting a quick meet at a hotel bar near his gym. Better vibe, more privacy, he wrote. Sophie, reading over her shoulder, laughed. Go for it. It's just drinks. Claire snapped. This isn't a game, sophomore. I'm not like you. Sophie's face hardened. Then why are you still texting him? You want this, Claire? Own it. Stung. Claire didn't argue. Against every instinct, she agreed to meet Ryan, telling herself it was just a conversation. At the hotel bar, Ryan was all charm, ordering her a drink she barely sipped. The conversation flowed, business, life, dreams, but his hand brushed hers, intentional. Claire's pulse raced, guilt warring with adrenaline. You're different, Ryan said softly. Not like most people I meet. She should have left then, but his words hooked her. When he suggested moving to a room upstairs to keep talking, Claire's resolve crumbled. Just to talk, she whispered, following him, her mind numb. Across town, Ethan's phone rang. The investigator's voice was clipped. She's at the Marriott downtown. With a guy. Room 312. Ethan's blood ran cold. You sure? He asked, voice tight. I've got photos, the investigator replied. Ethan hung up, grabbed his keys, and drove, his hands gripping the wheel. Rage and betrayal churned, but he stayed focused. He needed to see it for himself. At the hotel, Ethan parked and called Claire. Where are you? He asked, his voice steady but icy. Claire, startled in the room with Ryan, stammered, at a store downtown. Why? Ethan's jaw clenched. Which one? I'm nearby. Let's meet. Panicked, Claire lied. Central Market. I'll be quick. Ethan hung up, stepped out his car, and walked to the hotel entrance, his heart pounding. He wasn't imagining this. The truth was waiting behind that door. Claire's phone slipped from her trembling hand as Ethan's call ended. His voice, sharp and cold, echoed in her mind. Central Market. I'll be quick. She stood frozen in the hotel room, Ryan lounging on the couch, oblivious to her panic. Everything cool? He asked, his tone casual. Claire's stomach churned. I need to go, she muttered, grabbing her bag. Ryan shrugged, unfazed. Sure, hit me up later. But as she reached for the door, her world collapsed. Ethan was out there, somewhere, closing in. Downstairs, Ethan strode through the Marriott's lobby, his jaw set. The private investigator's photos burned in his memory. Claire entering the hotel with a man, time-stamped an hour ago. His heart pounded, but his steps were deliberate. Room 312. He took the elevator, each floor ticking by like a countdown. Doubt flickered, Maybe it was a mistake, but the evidence was ironclad. Claire had lied. He clenched his fists, forcing himself to stay calm. He needed answers, not a scene. Claire fumbled with the door handle, her breath shallow. She stepped into the hallway, scanning for an exit, when Ethan's voice cut through. Claire! She spun around, her blood turning to ice. He stood 10 feet away, his gaze piercing, unyielding. "Where's your shopping bags?" he asked, his voice low, laced with betrayal. Claire's mouth opened, but no words came. Her legs felt like lead. "Ethan," as she stammered. He stepped closer, his eyes searching hers. "Who's in there with you?" Inside the room, Ryan overheard, his easy confidence vanishing. He bolted to the door, locking it with a click, his pulse racing. Claire's eyes widened as the lock snapped, trapping her outside, alone with Ethan's wrath. "Open the door," Ethan demanded, banging his fist against it. "Come out and face me." Silence answered. Ryan stayed hidden, a coward in Claire's eyes, abandoning her to the consequences. She turned to Ethan, tears streaming. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean." Ethan cut her off, his voice breaking. "How could you do this? I gave you everything." Claire's knees buckled, but Ethan didn't move to catch her. His pain was raw, carved into every word. "You lied to me. For weeks." "Who is he?" Claire sobbed, choking out. "His name's Ryan." "A customer." "It was a mistake, Ethan. Please." Ethan's laugh was bitter. "A customer? You're in a hotel room with a customer?" He shook his head, stepping back. "I trusted you." The weight of his disappointment crushed her. She reached for him, but he pulled away. "Don't." Ethan turned, walking toward the elevator. Claire's voice cracked, pleading, "Ethan, wait, let me explain." But he didn't stop. The door slid shut, and he was gone. Claire sank to the floor, her world unraveling. Ryan's door remained locked, his silence deafening. She was alone, exposed, her choices laid bare. Her phone buzzed, Sophie's name on the screen. Claire answered, her voice a whisper. "It's off. I need you. Come get me." Sophie's tone shifted from playful to alarmed. "What happened? Where are you?" Claire's sobs broke through. "The Marriott." "Ethan," he found out. Sophie arrived 20 minutes later, pulling up in her red sedan. Claire climbed in, her face streaked with tears, her bag clutched like a lifeline. "What the hell, Claire?" Sophie asked, glancing at her. Claire's voice was hollow. "Ethan caught me with Ryan. He was here, sophomore. He saw." Sophie's eyes widened, but she recovered quickly. "Okay, calm down. It's not the end of the world. You messed up, but you can fix this." Claire shook her head, staring out the window. "You don't get it. He's done. I saw it in his eyes." At Sophie's apartment, Claire collapsed on the couch, her mind replaying the confrontation. Sophie poured her a glass of wine, sitting beside her. "Look, Ryan's a flirt, but you didn't do anything, right? Just talk." Claire's silence was damning. Sophie sighed. "Okay, so I went too far. But Ethan will cool off. Give him time." Claire's voice cracked. "You pushed me into this, sophomore. The texts, the coffee, all of it." Sophie bristled. "Don't pin this on me. You wanted it, Claire. You could have said no." The truth stung. Claire buried her face in her hands, guilt consuming her. Ryan, meanwhile, had slipped out of the hotel once Ethan left. He texted Sophie's phone. "Rough day, huh? I'm out. Good luck." Then he blocked the number, vanishing from Claire's life as swiftly as he'd entered it. Claire saw the message when Sophie showed her, and it hit like a slap. Ryan hadn't cared. Not about her, not about the fallout. He was a thrill seeker, and she'd been the thrill. Sophie scoffed. Typical. Guys like him are all talk. But Claire felt the weight of her betrayal, not just to Ethan, but to herself. That night, Claire couldn't face going home. She stayed at Sophie's, curled up on the guest bed, her phone silent despite her desperate text to Ethan. "Please talk to me. I'm so sorry." No reply. She replayed every step. Ryan's charm, Sophie's nudging, her own weakness. How had she let it spiral so far? The store, her pride, her escape from routine. It had all led here, to a hotel hallway, and Ethan's broken trust. Sleep didn't come. Across town, Ethan sat in their empty apartment, staring at the dining table where Claire had filled with Dapper Thread's plans. His anger had dulled into a heavy ache. He'd loved her fiercely, supported her dreams, believed in their marriage. But the lies, the secrecy, they cut deeper than the act itself. He pulled out his phone, dialing his lawyer. "I need to discuss a divorce," he said, his voice firm despite the crack in his chest. He hung up, resolute. He wouldn't be a man who looked the other way. Claire woke to Sophie's voice, planning their next Dapper Threads post as if nothing had changed. We've got orders to ship, Claire. Let's focus. But Claire's heart wasn't in it. The store, once her spark, now felt tainted. She checked her phone again. No word from Ethan. I need to see him, she told Sophie, standing. Sophie frowned. Give him space, Claire. You'll just make it worse. But Claire couldn't wait. She had to face him, to beg for a chance, to explain how she'd lost herself. She drove home, her stomach in knots, unsure if Ethan would even let her in. Claire's hand shook as she turned the key in the lock of their Austin home. The door creaked open, revealing a silence that felt heavier than the night before. She stepped inside, her heart pounding, hoping Ethan would hear her out. The faint smell of coffee lingered, and she found him in the kitchen, leaning against the counter, a mug in hand. His eyes met hers, cold, resolute, no trace of the warmth she'd known for years. You shouldn't be here, he said, his voice flat. Claire's throat tightened. Ethan, please just listen. She stepped forward, tears already spilling. I messed up. I don't know how it happened, but it wasn't me. Sophie pushed me. Ryan was... Ethan raised a hand, cutting her off. Don't blame them. You made the choice, Claire. His words were like a blade, sharp and final. She sank into a chair, her voice breaking. I'm so sorry. I love you. I'll do anything to fix this. Ethan's gaze didn't soften. You broke us. There's no fixing that. He set the mug down, pulling a folder from the counter. I called the lawyer. Divorce papers are being drafted. Your stuff's packed. Suitcases are in the hall. Claire's breath caught, a sob escaping. No, Ethan, please, give me a chance. She reached for his arm, but he stepped back, his face unyielding. I trusted you with everything. You threw it away for what? A fling. His voice cracked, betraying the pain beneath his resolve. I'm done. Claire's pleas dissolved into sobs. It wasn't a fling. It was a mistake. Sophie kept saying it was nothing, just talk, and Ethan shook his head. You let her lead you. You chose to lie, to hide, to meet him. That's on you. He walked to the hall, gesturing to 2 suitcases by the door. Take them and go. This isn't your home anymore. Claire stood, trembling, her world crumbling. She grabbed his hand, desperate. I'll change, I swear. Ethan pulled away. Too late, he said, turning his back. With no strength left, Claire dragged the suitcases outside, collapsing on the porch as the door shut behind her. She called Sophie, her voice a whisper. I need a place to stay. Sophie arrived in minutes, her usual bravado gone. Come on, you'll crash with me, she said, loading the bags into her car. Claire stared blankly as they drove, Ethan's words echoing. This isn't your home anymore. She'd lost him, and the weight of it was suffocating. At Sophie's apartment, Claire barely spoke. Sophie tried to rally her, pushing Dapper Threads' next steps. We've got orders piling up, Claire. Let's keep the momentum. But Claire's heart wasn't in it. The store, once her escape, now felt like a reminder of her downfall. She scrolled through her phone, Ethan's silence louder than any reply. Ryan had vanished, his number blocked, his interest gone the moment trouble hit. Sophie shrugged it off. Guys like him don't stick around. Focus on the business. But Claire saw Sophie's role clearly now, her reckless nudging, her disregard for boundaries. You made it worse, Soph, Claire said quietly. Sophie frowned. You could have stopped it. Don't play victim. The words stung, but Claire knew they held truth. She let Sophie's influence sway her, but the choices were hers. Days blurred into weeks. Claire moved into Sophie's spare room, mechanically packing orders for Dapper Threads. The spark of running the store was gone, replaced by a hollow routine. Sophie kept the social media alive, but tension simmered between them. Claire's guilt grew, and so did her resolve to understand why she'd strayed. One evening, Claire searched online for a therapist, booking a session for the next week. She needed to unravel the void that had pulled her toward Ryan, the weakness that let Sophie's words override her values. The divorce papers arrived, and she signed them, her hand shaking. Ethan's signature was already there, a final severing. She mailed them back, tears falling, but a small clarity emerged. She had to rebuild, not for Ethan, but for herself. Ethan, meanwhile, moved forward. He threw himself into work. His software projects a distraction from the ache of betrayal. Friends invited him out, and he started saying yes, reclaiming pieces of himself. He sold the house, unable to live in the echo of Claire's presence, and rented a downtown loft. His resolve hardened. He'd never be a man who settled for lies. Yet, late at night, he wondered if Claire was okay, quickly pushing the thought away. She made her choice. Claire's therapy sessions became a lifeline. She dug into her restlessness, her need for validation. The way Sophie's carefree life had seemed tempting. "I lost myself," she told her therapist. "I let someone else's voice drown out mine." The work was slow, painful, but it gave her purpose. She distanced herself from Sophie, taking over Dapper Thread's operations alone. Sophie didn't fight it, sensing Claire's shift. They parted ways amicably, but Claire felt lighter without her influence. Months later, Claire launched a new section for the store, ethical menswear, sourced locally. It was small, but it felt like hers, untainted by the past. She posted about it on Instagram, her first genuine smile in months. Ethan saw the post, scrolling late one night. He paused, then kept scrolling. Claire was moving on, and so was he. Their paths had diverged, each carrying the lessons of their shared wreckage. Claire sat in her new apartment, a modest one-bedroom she'd rented with her store's profits. She sipped coffee, staring at a notebook where she'd written her goals. Grow the business, stay true to herself, never betray her values again. The road ahead was long, but she felt a flicker of hope. She'd fallen, but she was rising one step at a time.